is now being recorded.
Yeah, hello everybody to another session of the XStepCafe. With me as usual is Uwe Dittes. Yeah, today we have planned to talk a little bit about transfer of XStep repositories to between systems. So that would cover, I think, import and export, also maybe also for folders, but also of entire XStep repositories and what to watch out for there. I give Uwe a little bit more time to settle himself because he jumped out of another meeting right now. So I'd like to kick it off with opening up for questions you might have. So that we do it beforehand, not after our main topic. So if anybody of you wants to jump in.
So basically, in one of the cases, we are mapping a numeric parameter into a characteristic parameter of the process message. The reason we are doing it is sometimes the string is coming through a OPC read in case which is different. Sometimes it comes manually entered by the user. So we weren't sure. So we mapped it to a characteristic parameter. The thing we found is that when you do that, let us say the number is 151.963. Some of the times, or 90% of the times, it works fine. But once in a while, on the process message, you see the number as 156.912.9999999 or 156.914.0000 and then a 1 at the end. So,
yes.
So I did two things. One is I rounded the value, but the round function is only to the integer. So when I rounded it, the process message shows it fine, but I have to multiply by 1000. And again, when I divide it by 1000, it's still showing that extra decimal point at the end. Do you know if there is a round to 3 decimal function in XStep's formula?
Not that I'm aware of. Uwe, do you know whether there's some function there? I don't think so. So I would guess you have to do it with some kind of function module to convert that. So is that only happening in if you do it if you get the value from OPC, or is it also when
it's
you
only actually happening?
manually?
It's very weird. It's only happening for certain numbers. So depending on the number, like if you put an integer, it's not happening. If you put 2.12, it's not happening. If you put a certain number, it doesn't like it. It somehow puts that in the database, it's somehow storing with a 001 or at the end.
Okay, so it also happens if you enter it manually, not only with
yes,
OPC.
It does. Yes.
Okay.
It happens when you enter manually also.
That's really strange. But you cannot reproduce it, really? Can you?
I can reproduce. Every time you enter that particular number, it is going to store like that in the process.
Oh. Uwe, what do you think? Is that something he could address with an OSS message?
I think so. Yeah, should at least be checked if there's something going wrong.
Yeah.
Would recommend to open one.
Yes,
sure.
because if you can reproduce the issue, yes, I would suggest just open an OSS ticket. Just explain as detailed as possible how you did it. In your system, please omit any things of like custom style sheets or something like that, because if that happens, our support might easily put that off as, oh, it might be because of some weird things you do there. So use as much standard as possible and just reproduce it again with that scenario and then open it.
Yeah, we will open OSS now. Thanks, Alex.
Yes.
Thanks, Uwe.
Yes, but I think I have had that problem as well sometimes, so it sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any other question?
Yeah, it's Emmanuel.
Hi, Emmanuel.
About this MDA stuff that you present last time. On Google Plus community, I put a thing, meaning that last time you publish the MDA point via the report, and I wanted to know if it's possible to publish it directly inside the PI sheet.
Yeah, sure, sure.
Because I couldn't arrive to publish it directly in the PI sheet with the order number directly.
I remember, yeah, so let me see, where was that?
I try many sentence syntax, but I couldn't make it happen.
Yeah, yeah. So let me just do something, just share my screen, and at least explain to the others what I think you are trying to accomplish. So that one was the broadcast listener. Let me just create a new. Hold on. Just copy that one here, and paste it here. Broadcast. Okay. Right. So what you try to accomplish is you make a manufacturing data access here, and manually, let's say broadcast, and then there is something like data points here, and I would choose one of these, and I think I explained it also in one of the last sessions already here. So that's, you can choose the MDA section here, choose broadcast and send, and double click on that. But keep in mind that these weird entries here, they are meant to be replaced. So this will not work as such. So what you have to do is here to put in some name, and that's of course fixed. If I do it like that, this is fixed, and I would sort of write and fixed, and I can also send a value with it. So that's also something to note. So it's okay. This is correct, I think.
Yeah, but
yeah. I just wanted to just for the others, because that they know what I'm talking about, or what we are talking about. So that's how you send a broadcast, and what you want to accomplish basically is you want to put in here something like P1, like that, correct? And when you have something like parameters P1,
yeah.
order number. The only issue here is but I will explain that. So that's local and PPI order, for example. Okay, process order.
Yeah, process order.
Yeah, and of course then that would be something like order, and automatically. Yeah. So that would be your process order symbol, and then what I would expect to happen is that this is then replaced. Yeah. The only issue is you have to check what the total length of your data point will be. So if that will be longer than 30 characters, it won't work, because it will be cut. And that's what I'm not sure about. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
But when you put this with P1E, there is at the generation you get an error. It doesn't
Okay.
accept it.
I don't know, Uwe, didn't we talk about that? I think you checked something there. I don't remember it. More than 2 months ago.
I think we ran into the problem that the length of this data point was quite limited. It was less than we expected.
It was less. So that was maybe the. So it's not 30. It's even less that you have here.
I think at least when the placeholders are evaluated, then we got a longer part. But I can also check this as I think I sent you an email, but I'm not sure. Just kidding. Yeah. But we did say that at least the field length or the value length of the data point was not that much that we really need if we would create.
Do you know whether there were any reasons for that, or is it just would we see this as a bug that is less than 30 characters?
Yeah.
Because I mean, for my sort of ex-consultant point of view, I would really see, okay, this is a parameter, it should be replaced by this parameter replacement pattern here, these ampersands. And if the whole string is not longer than 30 characters, I would think this should work. And if it does not work, I would see this as a bug.
Yeah.
So I would raise a message for this.
Could try to do so, yeah. But I would check what we found out as a maximum length for this data point. I think it was limited, and it was say shorter than we really expected. Normally, you would at least expect to have short string values, but the manufacturing data access was also built in long times ago. I think we just were at R346C, and there.
Manuel, did you try that with a shorter term, like for example the control recipe destination, the 2-digit destination key? Is it working with that, for example?
No, I didn't try with it.
Maybe try or try it with intermediate length. So then you will probably find out that there is some sort of limit somewhere. Yeah, and I mean, if you do that and find that it's less than 30 characters, I mean, you can try it with an OSS method.
So it was give me a strange error. It was give me the error like invalid value for data PPPI export data. Which I didn't know if it was possible to send the parameter.
Yes.
Yeah. I just found the email where we had this try with the broadcast send command, and so that we got that we had a length of the value that had more than 30 characters, and it was larger than the domain length of the characteristic PPPI export data, which is 30. Yeah.
Okay.
And
so 30 is
at least so what I found was 30 characters for the whole value. Yeah.
I will try with that.
Maybe I don't know. Let me just think. I think I tried it also. I mean, they're both. There are two sides of it. There's one is the send. If you want to send something, and probably you will also want another PI sheet to react on that broadcast, and that's what I'm opening up here. There you also have probably the same limitation. So you have to look out for that.
Okay, I will try again.
Yeah, try to experiment a little bit, and please also general remark. I think one day I found an OSS message where one of you reference to our XStepCafe discussions, just please don't do that, because I mean the guys from support, they don't know what we do here. So just try to isolate and explain as good as possible in an isolated manner the issue, and we are not the moral instance here, really. We just try to help. Yeah. Okay. With that, I don't know, Uwe, what about our topic? Do you feel
we can
to show something, or shall we just try another question?
You can try another question, then I will just after jump in and explain some general data.
Okay. Any more questions?
Hi. Yes. I'm Chandra Kolipara. I have a question on global variable in PI sheet. I mean, using XSteps. So, in normal instructions, we have PP, PI declare variable, right? So, in XSteps, how do we use that?
Yes, in XSteps there is no such thing like global variables. It's always when I don't know whether I have any example here, but if you have something like, you have always to pass parameters from one step to another. Yeah. So if you have, let me just try this one. If you have an XStep like that below that XStep, yeah, you have a parameter on this place, and you need it on that XStep. You have to pass it with these references. That's a little bit more complicated. It makes things a little bit clearer, but also complicated. I know that. There are solution approaches from other customers that used database tables to store certain values intermediately and share it between PI sheets. So that could be a solution for you if you definitely want to have a global variable. The thing is, you need to of course to keep the key of your PI sheet, so the control recipe number, of course, as well with this value, so that you don't interfere with any other PI sheets. Yeah. Is that something you could think of, or?
I mean, that looks too complex. I mean, too customized solution, right? So, I mean, so in general, that means that the service PSH we can't really use in XSteps, right? Because PSH service needs global variables.
I have never used that one. Uwe, is that really something which you could? I thought that was just something internally, this PSH thing. Let me just check. What you mean is this one here, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
I think I experimented with it and it didn't work when I was a consultant, and I roughly remember that I asked something like, this is just for internal things, really. So I maybe if that is really the case, then I really wonder why this is really sort of exposed here.
Correct. Yeah.
Uwe, do you know any more details on that?
I just can tell that during the development of the execution steps, there was also a big discussion ongoing if something like global variables have to be provided, and from the, let's say, also the feedback that we got also from customer messages was that using those global variables in characteristic-based process instructions was one of the main error source, because if you use global variables, you really have no clue where they are written and where they're read is not the problem, but where they are provided with a value. So this could change if you do not cautious, let's say, build up your process instructions in the, let's say, in the manner that it should be, and therefore it was decided not to provide such things. Also concerning this, MDA service, I think if it's named global variable, I don't think that it will work with the execution steps, but we haven't tried this out. Yeah, and I don't know if there's really much documentation available. We can check this. I will just write down a note.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, just to add one thing, this is Ravi. So we use live parameters, and it does work fine to exchange values between PI sheets. We had one random issue, but there was OSS node to fix it. So right now we do use live parameters,
but even with these live parameters, you need to pass them correctly. Yeah? So you need to reference them correctly. So that does not help you if you want to sort of avoid this complicated passing of values.
Right. There is no straight way to pull a value and just ask for it from a table or something. It's complicated in terms of you have to go up the tree and down the tree.
Maybe that I just quickly demonstrate for those who might not know what I mean, what I'm talking about, is things like that. So, for example, I have here a parameter, and I call it, I say O for outbound, value 1, so value 1 outbound. And the category is in that case not local because I want to sort of bring it out of this PPPI character. Oh no, it's parameter value. Okay. That's strange. Okay. Try it again. Let's try. Okay, that works. So it should also work with output. Okay. Then and I do the same and copy that. Do the same here. I also use that. Oh, hold on. I didn't do it in such a long time. I think if I do it as exchange, it would work in both ways, and I would evaluate it as reference, and then I should. Okay, I think that's maybe a topic for another session. You see, when you don't do things in a long time, you tend to lose things. Okay, so but in essence, what it means, you need to use these parameter types, input and output, to and the reference valuation to pass these values. And please have a look at the documentation, the parameter documentation in the SAP documentation. It's really a good documentation, that part. So it's very helpful. All right. So with that, I'd like to hand over to Uwe. He's probably more capable in his area.
Okay. So you also will find you very well prepared. Just try to share my screen. Okay. Questions concerning, just click down here, the more technical view. How are you able to transport or to get your objects, especially the standard XSteps and the repository content, from one system to another? There are some things that you have to be aware of. There's also one note that describes, might be that most of you are familiar with that. There's a principle if we're talking about standard XSteps, and the principle is that standard XSteps that have an own global unique identifier. GUID. And just want to show you the database table where they are stored in. So excuse me, it's a German. And what you see here, we have two key fields. So we have one field for the client and one for the ID of the standard XStep. Things get complicated. If we go to the XStep repository, if you have, let's say, your development system for the standard XSteps in one client, it means in client 001, your queue system in client 002, and your productive system perhaps in client 003. If you want to export content of your XStep repository that contains standard XSteps that are referenced, then it only will be possible to copy the complete folder or the complete repository itself without losing, let's see, the relation between the standard XStep reference node and the standard XStep itself. So I can just show you, but for your convenience, we'll just log into the system. Oops. Using English language. Okay. Okay. Here we go.
Just one remark for the participants. If in the screen on the top right there's a drop-down button where you can choose change view and zoom in if the resolution is too high for you. Just a remark.
Arne, shall I change the resolution of it?
I'm not sure, because last time we had really issues with that. But
yeah. I logged in using Citrix as you recommended.
Yeah, but yeah, okay, that's one thing, but you need also to scale down the resolution there. But does not matter. Just go ahead.
Okay, so here we see the famous standard XStep repository. And concerning XML export and import, you have different opportunities and different commands. At the highest level, here we got the let's say the node, the folder for the complete repository. And here it's possible to download the complete repository as an XML file. If you do this, then you can upload the XML file into your other client, but during XML import, you will recognize that the system will create copies of the XStep objects and the standard XSteps that you exported. This is also due to the fact that we can't distinguish on a database level between XSteps that are created on different clients. So we have also, sorry, I was completely wrong. What I want to tell you is, if you download the XStep repository of a plant, of a distinct plant, and upload it to another XStep repository, which is in the system, the same client, but a different plant, then the system has to create copies of the exported objects. Because on the database level, we can only distinguish between the XStep objects, means the versions, and the standard XSteps on the client level. So
I think the main use case would be that you would transfer XSteps between different systems for the same plans.
Correct.
Such things. So that is, I think, not really.
Yeah. So just we want to point out that this could at least cause some trouble. Here is also the note that describes the changes. We had before 2010, and especially some of the lower releases that you might use don't have this feature. We had a change of the logic that allows you to also import parts of the XStep repository into different systems. The parts that also contain references to standard XSteps that aren't part of the content that is included in the XML file. Before that, you had to export everything that you are referencing. Means you had to export the complete folder. But with this logic, this increased logic, which is also standard since enhancement package 5, it's able that you are not forced to include all of the referenced objects in your XML file. During import in the target system, the system will check if the standard XStep that is referenced, if this standard XStep exists. Exists means that you have a database entry with of the standard XStep with the global unique identifier. If this is the case, then the import will go on as expected. If it's not the case, then the system will raise an error, will stop the import. What's not that nice, I have to admit, is that the idea of using global unique identifier means that it's really a global unique identifier, and then you don't have a clone or something like that in a different SAP system. But if you import standard XStep into a different system, the standard before releasing that node was that always copied objects with different global unique identifiers have been created. And if you create standard XStep references, that's reference to this standard XStep that you transported before, then the standard XStep reference has a link to the global unique identifier of the standard XStep it references. This means if you transport to a different system and the standard XStep that has the GUID which is referenced does not exist, then you lose the linkage between the standard XStep reference node and the standard XStep itself. So if you
so that would also mean that in recipes that use these standard XSteps, the link would not work for the new version you would try to import there, correct?
Exact. Yeah. So this is correct.
And also one comment from my side: if Uwe says transport, please don't confuse it with our transport mechanism of SAP standard. It's not transport. It's just import export.
Yes. So means downloading the content as XML files and uploading it. In the past, we had also some discussions if it is possible, would be possible a better way to use the change in transport system for transporting the database table entries that belong to, say, a standard XStep. But also with respect to handling those imports, we decided not to follow this approach. So the XML download and upload of the repository, a part of the repository, is quite convenient. What is also worth to notice, if you import the XML data in your second your target system, then all the standard XStep versions are in state to be processed. We had also discussions with customers that say, okay, here in my queue system, I validated the standard XStep version, everything is fine. I released it for productive usage. Now I do an export via XML and import to my productive system and have to release it again. This is all. This decision not to take over the status was also due to the fact that you have the possibility to check if everything really went fine.
And you would create new versions, correct? If that standard XStep already exists, is that correct? Or
I think so. If you have this automatic numbering, I think there was also one correction that has been made recently. But normally, it should, if you have automatic numbering, it should detect and assign automatically the number.
I have also another remark which you need to take care of. If you have your, for example, development system where you do a new XStep and test it out and something like that, and you use, for example, you create a new characteristic and maybe also a new function module that you use in that XStep, you have, of course, to make sure that before you import that exported XStep folder in another system, that these objects are created in that target system beforehand. Because if they do not exist, you will get an error.
Yes, correct. And this is also, let's say, similar if you have other master data, like the master recipes, resources, or say control recipe destinations that you use in standard Xsteps that you are going to upload via XML import, that they do exist. If they don't exist, it's say for master recipe and standard Xsteps, this is not so critical, but at least control recipe destinations and also characteristics and let's say custom process messages, they have to exist in the system. So this would be something that I could say. If you have questions concerning this topic, then you can ask and perhaps we'll find some additional answers.
Maybe is it possible to make a quick demo on how that would work? Just a copy, export, import something over, and then make a change in the source system and do it again, so that you see what happens.
Okay, we can try to do that. Just try to pick one. Okay, that is suitable. So I will just export the complete folder. Download it as an. This is my system here. As you can see, if everything happens fine, then you get your message how many bytes are transferred. I just close the. Sorry. Oops. Okay, just give me a second. So. Oh. And here we are. We can just try to open it. So you see all the content that is exported. And what I'm going to do right now is that I first try to choose another plant. See what we find. Hopefully we had someone. This is a.
Is that similar than choosing another system, or is that?
No, it will behave differently. Yeah, this is like just. So, let's choose one. Okay. Try to use one. Chinese one. Okay, here's the nothing. So we'll just create a folder. So we are on the same system, different plant. Also quite good to save the folder. And now I'm trying to import my standard Xstep folder. So, got this one. Okay, allow me. And please, if you're working with the download and upload of XML files, have a look at the status messages. So, what I explained it a couple of minutes before was, here I'm in the same system, same client, but in different plants, and the system detects that during upload, okay, I already have a folder and I already have a standard Xstep that has the same global unique identifier, which is stored on the database. In this case, I can't create the same object twice, because this would lead to duplicate errors on the database. In this case, the system will behave as, let's say, the old logic. It will create copies that do have different global unique identifiers. And every object that existed before on the database will create it as a copy. If there isn't an entry for the object in the database already, then we get let's say the cloned one with the same global unique identifier. Okay, you see it really went fine. We didn't get any error message. There's also something you might know, you see, okay, we got here also the identical version numbering and also the status in process. And I'm curious about the object ID. If you want to see the object ID, then you can activate it by clicking on this menu entry. And now we can just check here our standard Xstep. The global unique identifier for the standard Xstep is this value here. And also the object ID, which is not that relevant for the Xstep repository. So now we'll just try to repeat the upload in a different client. So I'm here in a different client, and also, sorry, I'm logged in German, bad behavior, and we just want to upload it to this repository. Just choose a suited folder.
So same system but different client, correct?
Same system but different client. And I just want to import the folder. I just had to switch the folder into change mode to be able to import it. And the same XML file. Okay. And now we have different status messages. And here it just tells you, if you see the green status light, that this object didn't exist on the database before, and so it can be created as a cloned one.
And now can you do in the original Xstep a change and export again and do the import again to see what happened then? So that, because that's the normal sort of way of working, I think.
Yeah, which we can do. So we'd have better chosen. Better chosen one that reference another one, as we can try to do so. Okay, so this was I think the one that we exported. And just going back to my.
Is there any a difference between a different client and different system, or is that same?
Yeah, so if you have, let's say, really different systems, like the queue system, different physical systems, then it will also work in the same manner than it works for the scenario that you have one system with different client with respect to export and import.
Because that was the original question I had in the XStepCafe. Obviously, because that's usually the case that you want to transfer your Xsteps between different systems. So if you say, okay, it's the same as you show it now with different clients, so that's not good enough to show it that way.
So okay. Perhaps I would offer to show it in the next XStepCafe, a more complex scenario, because I think the time will not be sufficient to build it up. What I want to demonstrate, or I can also deliver it later on, is that you have two standard Xsteps, one standard Xsteps that referenced another standard Xstep. You export the standard Xstep, and then you do, say, create a new version in your source system, and export it by XML and import it by XML into your target system and see how it works, so that the reference information doesn't get lost. So this would be, let's say, the most interesting stuff that I can show.
But the procedure would be the same as you would show it now, correct?
Exactly. So also what then is possible is that you have. Perhaps we can just.
Maybe let's focus on the demo. So now you are in the source client, correct?
Yeah.
Did you make a change already?
No, I did not make a change already.
So then let's just try this.
So perhaps. So, but then I would not. So what? Okay.
Maybe add a new version, for example. Just copy that version and yeah.
So I just. Try to do it. It could be that I'm in the same repository.
Hey, while you guys are testing, so does the same test case result apply when it's let's say different systems, or will it have to be the same system and different clients?
No, that's exactly, that was my question. So it's similar if you use different clients or different systems. So that's the
Okay.
same.
Even different system, it should be the same. Gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just create a dummy version, which is not that cool. So, oh, sorry, typo. Okay, be in good shape. Just provide here also one of the general destinations and create the output of a character string. Okay, so what I want to do now is I just save the changes. Now I do have here version 3, the Xstep, and here then would export the Xstep version.
Hold on, Uwe. I mean, is it also possible to do this export import with a whole folder, or do you now have to do it version by version? Because if it would of course be more convenient if you just say, okay, here's my folder structure of a certain maybe project or so, and I just want to do any changes I want, and then export the whole folder, and then it magically sort of fits into place. Is it, so
No.
just make sure that because I can expect that people listening here would have maybe this expectation.
Okay.
So just to make
So
things clear.
we can just show. So what the system really doesn't do here is, if I'm just trying to export the complete folder. So our folder has a different content that it had before. So we just name it folder 2. So, and if I'm not just leaving my system and go to the different client, you might guess what the answer would be. XSV. Okay. We imported it already, and if we now try to just put the folder into change super folder, and I just want to import the XStepCafe XML file, then you will see the following. The system detects that we already exported the originals and imported it via XML into the system. So the standard Xsteps that are now going to import already exist on the database. Therefore, the first object, meaning the folder, the standard Xstep, and the 2 versions that I created before and imported before will be created as a copy. The third version that I created newly in the source system doesn't exist on the database, and here the system will create it as
so basically
as an original. So we don't have, let's say, a delta mechanism.
This procedure would not be feasible for anything like, okay, I have got standard Xsteps that are already used in recipes, and I just want to upload a new version to another system, because these new imported Xsteps, they are totally different.
Yeah, but so they
don't have a link.
Yeah, correct. What you can do, what I did just try to do so, is that you can export the new version that you created and import it into the folder structure in your target system.
And this you have to do standard Xstep by standard Xstep, so SXS by SXS.
Yes, correct. What let's say the interesting case is that what we don't have here is the our standard Xsteps. So this one here, if we check this, that already references another standard Xstep. So if I just want to create sorry, just have to save it. If I just want to create a standard Xstep that uses another standard Xstep of my repository, perhaps let's use this one.
Now you are in the target client, correct? Because I don't know.
Yeah. I just want to show you the principle.
Okay.
So if I create a standard XStep reference, and I would now export or download this standard XStep or the folder content as an XML file, then the referenced object, here reference the alert message, is not part of the XML file. So if I now try to import this XML data, so the XML data contains all what's below here, the folder structure. If I import this XML data into a system that doesn't contain at least the referenced standard XSteps here, then the import will fail, because the system will detect, oh, here we have referenced standard XSteps, we have the global unique identifier, and I don't find any entry in the database of my target system that has an equal global unique identifier for a standard XStep. So this is behavior as it was before we created the node. What will work and is working is if we are not here in the target system but in the source system, and we would have created at least let's say a new version 3, that got a reference to a standard XStep that I also imported as a cloned object into my target system, then I don't need to care for it. The system will then detect, as it imports the version that has the standard XStep reference, okay, here's a standard XStep that is referenced. I do a database check and I find, okay, the standard XStep already exists with the global unique identifier that I used because I imported it before as a cloned object that was created like the original, and then the import of the standard XStep version will succeed. And this was
I'm not sure that everybody got that really now.
Yeah.
I think this we would have to do, and maybe you're right, in another session in the future, really step by step, so that you really can follow it more closely. Maybe for the last thing, just do this version export import thing, so that we at least have this procedure you could use for sort of transporting in a way your test steps to your productive system.
Yeah. Shall I try it again?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
So now we are in the source client, correct? In the just a minute.
I'm just going trying to use the source client. Perhaps we can manage the thing that I tried to explain in a very complex way more easily. So, okay. Okay. I think we got something like here. Perhaps what we can do is, I just want to be what I want to show you is I will try to do the following. I prepare a new standard XStep. So Anna will just XStepCafe. So that it might become more clear. And just here, give it a form date. And the only thing I want to do is I will create a standard XStep. So SXS reference, and here I want to reference it to the one that I exported before. So with this one here. So Okay. So, and I just take this standard Xstep and export it. As we did before. So what the XML file now contains is at least information about the version, the root node, and also a reference standard Xstep that has a linkage to this standard Xstep. If you remember, just going to the target system, different client, I exported the reference standard Xstep and into an XML file and imported it via an XML file into plants 01, and it was created as an original. And I'm just trying to create, hopefully that works. Save it, and I want to import the standard Xstep that I exported before. So standard Xstep. Okay. Sorry. I have to close some. No. Just do it from scratch. Could be that one of the views is open. Okay. Create the folder. Save it. Now I'm trying to import the standard Xstep. And here we go. So the imported object didn't exist on the database so far. So I created it also as a cloned one. And what is very important, you see I exported the reference standard Xstep a couple of minutes before. And if you double click on this standard Xstep, you see that it's referenced to the mine Aster Xstep, what we had here before.
And Uwe, if you now go back to the source client system and do a change to this Xstep, and then you want to transport it back to the target system again, what do you do?
You mean if I just do a change? So just a little bit surprised. So here, da gerade was verloren. So it did get lost. So I have to check this. Why this get lost? Just try to do it again. So it was not the part that I want to demo.
Yeah, but okay, but I think that was the original question, you know. So what I mean, I'm constantly working on certain Xsteps in my test or a development system, and of course, when I found out, okay, these changes are okay, I want to take the result and put it into my quality or productive system. So that's sort of the initial question.
Yeah. But I would recommend that for the next XStepCafe I will prepare a couple of more examples so that it gets more clear what really happens if we toggle between the system. Might be a little bit confusing. For the audience.
I expect so. Maybe a question to our audience. I hope you didn't get totally lost. Did you have any insights from that, or do you have any questions we can clarify right away, or shall we do it in the next session in a more prepared way?
Just a comment for us, we do always a new version, and we import version directly.
So this would also be, let's say, for a version for standard Xsteps, because here you don't get into trouble to get the originals, let's say, in conflict with the originals.
Yeah, it's only for new go live with new plant that we export and import the whole folder.
And you also have, for example, new references there and such things that you also export. And how do you handle this?
Yeah, but it's only at go live. At go live state, when we set up a new plant, that we import the whole folder.
Yes. Okay. Any other question?
Very nice session today.
Okay.
Me, I have a last question, but not on this. On validation. On validation on Xstep or on an input parameter, we can put formula. So it's easy to put formula on with numerical characteristics. But what about a character-based, meaning I want a validation on formula when the input is S or...
This is done with a validation function. You need to do some function.
Okay, there is no formula, it's only numeric.
It's only numeric, yes.
Yeah, this was a reuse of the already existing formula editor, and it's not that, let's say, that capable for also doing, let's say, string comparison or similar things, which is quite sad because you use these kinds of comparisons a lot for validation. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, the time's running fast, so we are already at the end of our usual session. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you've got any follow-up questions or something like that, either post them in my blog or in the XStepCafe community or on Google+. And I usually use that also as a repository for new topics. But I think for next time we try to make a second part of this because I think it's a really important issue that you might face in your 3-system landscapes. So we should do another session with more complicated reos. Okay. Then I would like to close the session and wish you all a nice day, and we'll see each other in roughly 2 months. Okay. Take care, and until then, bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Cheers.
Thank you.